Okay, welcome back. In this video, I want to try out Liza P on my MacBook Air M2 to see how it runs. But first, I want to kind of demonstrate how I connect my controller, Xbox controller, to my MacBook Air. This seems to be a question I see in the comments on YouTube quite a bit. So I'm just going to demonstrate how I do that first and maybe talk about a couple other things, and then we'll hop into the game. If you're just here to look at how the game is running on an M2 MacBook Air, then check the timestamps or the chapters in the description down below and you can just kind of jump ahead. Looking at the controller and connecting it. So if I turn on the controller right now, I don't know if you heard that, but my Xbox is starting up. So currently the controller is connected to my Xbox. So when I turn it on, it's turning on the Xbox and syncing to it. So it's just stopped flashing. So it is now controlling my Xbox Series S, and we want it to control my MacBook Air, which is plugged into an external display. Now, how you do this is if you've already connected your controller to another device, such as your Mac or something else, if you hold down the syncing button on the top of the controller, which puts it into pairing mode, and then while it's doing its pairing mode, so this is, it's discoverable right now as a Bluetooth device, if you double tap the sync button while it's doing that pairing mode, what it'll do is it'll switch to another device that you have connected it to. Now, in this case, it's going to keep flashing, and that's because I think it's trying to connect to my iPad, not to, okay, so it just showed that it connected, and I just want to see, I have a feeling if I press the Xbox button, it's going to control, oh, yeah, there we go. So it's going to control the iPad, and the reason why is because the last device that I had connected to the controller besides the Xbox itself was my iPad. So when I did the switch to the second device, it's reconnecting to my iPad and not to my Mac. I'm pretty sure the Xbox controllers, they can only have a memory of 2 devices. So you can only switch back and forth between 2. So one of them is your Xbox and one of them is your iPad. Those are your 2 devices. So if I switch back to the Xbox now, I hold down the sync button, put it into pairing mode, and then double tap the button again. So now it should be back onto the Xbox. Now what we want though is to control the Mac. So how you do this is, well, there's different ways. So if I go into my system settings on my Mac, it's over on the other screen. It's not really important what I'm doing, but I'm going into the, is it general? No. I'll move it over in just a second. Game controllers. Okay, so probably hard to see, but there is, oh, it's not going to zoom out that way. Okay, well, you can see on the screen here that it says Xbox wireless controller. So this is just to indicate that I have connected this to my Mac at some point in time. Now, the problem is that because it's switching back and forth between the iPad and the Xbox currently, it's difficult to tell the controller now to connect to the Mac. I think if you put it into pairing mode, you can attempt to click on the Xbox controller. You might be able to tell it, to connect to it. But the problem is that because it's already connected to those other 2 devices, I don't know, it's kind of confusing. So what I tend to do is, in this case, where you're trying to kind of add a third device to it, I think this works best, is to tell your computer, your Mac, or whatever the device is that you're trying to connect to forget the Xbox controller and then pair it as a brand new device, essentially. And this should be a lot easier. It just popped up as Bluetooth device on my Mac. I'm going to connect with it. And what this is probably going to do is it's going to kick out one of those 2 devices that it has in its memory. I'm not sure which one it's going to kick out. It might kick out the Xbox or it might kick out the iPad. Not sure, but it is connected now. So it says Xbox wireless controller, and it says the battery percentage on here as well, 71%. Now, if I press the Xbox button, it should open my games on my Mac. So this is an indication that it is working, it is connected. Everything is as it should be. So that is how you connect your controller to your Mac and how you would switch between your Mac and your Xbox. If you want to have 3 devices connected to it, like an iPad, a Mac and an Xbox, you kind of have to do that, you know, forget the device and then reconnect the device sometimes. It just tends to be the best way to do it. But if you only have two devices you're going to be switching back and forth between, then no issue. It's very easy. Just hold the sync button, double tap, it'll switch to the one. Do the same thing, hold the sync button, double tap, it'll switch back to the other. So in a perfect world, you'll only have two and it'll be great. Okay, so that is how you connect the controller. The other thing I want to talk about is the kind of setup I got going on here. So I'm going to be playing Lies of P on my M2 MacBook Air. This is the 2022 edition of the MacBook Air. The memory, I think by default, it's typically 8 gig that it comes with in RAM. I upgraded that to 16, and the other upgrade I did was on the cores for the graphics. So I think the default is 8 GPU cores. I paid the additional to get the 10 GPU cores. So those are the only two changes I made. Everything else is base. Oh, sorry, I also upgraded the storage. So I think the storage is 500 gig, the RAM is 16, and the GPU is 10 core. So those are the three things that I changed from the base on the M2 MacBook Air. Now the next thing I want to talk about. So I hear Lies of P runs quite well on the M2 MacBook Air. I've seen some videos where it was actually outputting higher than 60 frames per second, which is great. And I think that was at 1080p. Something to note, your MacBook Air, if you have an M2 MacBook Air, but I think this applies to pretty much all the MacBooks for the most part, except maybe some of the Pros are different, but all of the displays on the MacBooks are only 60 Hertz, meaning they only support up to 60 frames per second. If your device is able to generate higher than 60 frames per second, that's great. But if your screen is 60 Hertz, you're only going to be seeing 60 frames per second, right? So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll connect an external display that is better, you know, higher frames per second or maybe even higher resolution. So this is a Dell gaming monitor that I'm using right now. It's a 1440p and I think it's like 244 Hertz or something like that. That's great. Very high frame rates, potentially. However, there's a bit of an issue. So when you're buying your Mac, if you are planning on buying a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro or any of the Macs, even the desktops, and you know you're buying it for school or for work or whatever it is you're buying for, but you're thinking you might play some games on it as well, and you're someone who is wanting to have higher than 60 frames per second, assuming the game can even run at that performance, you need to really look into the tech specs of the device that you're purchasing, because a lot of the devices can only output to an external display up to 60 frames per second. And that includes my MacBook Air. So even though my display can do 244 Hertz, it doesn't matter because my Mac can only output up to 60 frames per second. So it really doesn't matter. So if you are someone who wants to play games at a higher frame rate, and you know, on a Mac device, then you're going to have to really dive into the tech specs because a lot of them don't do that. So let's just look at let's go to the MacBook Air first. So I'm just on Apple's website. I'm going to open up like this one here. So this is the MacBook Air M2. So this is what I have. I have the 13-inch model. The 15-inch model is the new one. I'm just jumping into the tech specs and I'm just going to look for that output. Yeah. Right here. So here underneath the display support, so it simultaneously supports full native resolution on the built-in display and one external display with up to 6K resolution, but only at 60 Hertz. So this is the important part here. So it's only going to output up to 60 Hertz, so 60 frames per second. If you're someone who wants to play at a higher frame rate, you're gonna have to look at something else. So the MacBook Air is not going to work. Let's look at one of the MacBook Pros. Let's look at the 14 and 16 inch. Again, just out of curiosity here, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so here, so look at here. So if you have the MacBook Pro with the M2 Pro chip, so up to 2 external displays, up to 6K resolution, 60 Hertz over Thunderbolt, or 1 external display at 60 Hertz over Thunderbolt, and 1 with up to 4K resolution at 144 hertz over HDMI. So there you go. So if you have the M2 Pro, you can output up to 144 frames per second over HDMI to one display. So just keep that in mind if you are in the market for getting a Mac for school or work or personal use or whatever you're getting it for. I'm assuming you're not buying a Mac specifically for gaming. That would be a bit ridiculous at this point. It is obviously the gaming on Mac is getting better. It's just not there yet. Maybe one day. So for the Mac Studio, which starts at $2,000 on here, see it only does 60 hertz as well on the M2 Max. HDMI, oh that's through, what's this? HDMI display video support for 1 or 4K resolution at 240. Okay, so as long as you're playing at 4K resolution, it looks like you can get up to 240 for one display. Point is that if you are buying a Mac to play games, you want to have a higher frame rate, make sure you dive into those tech specs to see what your Mac actually supports. So again, mine only supports an output of 60 frames per second. So it doesn't matter if the game can run at a higher frame rate. It doesn't matter. And it also doesn't matter if my display has a higher, can support a higher frame rate if the output can only be 60. Okay, let's get into the game. Now I'm gonna try and load this from the Performance HUD. So I have the Performance HUD text that I need here. And what we are going to do, it's been a while since I've had to do this. No, not in there. I think I want to go into applications, find the game, which is right here, show package contents, open that up, and then I think it's this one here, yeah. So on the Mac OS folder, I'm going to do a new terminal at folder. We are going to copy this text here. Hopefully this works without issue. And this text here with a tab and go. And hopefully this runs for us without issue. Let's see what happens. I notice things act a bit weird sometimes when I have OBS on my Mac running, but then the game running on the external display. Sometimes things act a bit strange, especially when you're recording. So I'm kind of worried that it might just explode, but we'll find out in a second. So doing it this way, where I'm loading the game via terminal and using the Performance HUD code, it will essentially give me the frames per second and whatever, the Performance HUD up in the top right of the game, which I'm hoping this works because I want to see the frame rate. This is taking a very long time to open. It's a bit odd. Normally it's, oh, there we go. Cannot be opened because the developer cannot, well, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Can we open the game without? Oh. Huh. Well then, this might be a short video because it's not opening the game. Interesting. I think there's something wrong with the game, so I'll have to continue this video at another time because it seems to be corrupted or something. So I'll have to re-download the games from the Mac apps. This is actually the first time I've ever seen this, so I'll have to delete the game and then I will reinstall it. So that's where we're going to end this one for tonight, and then tomorrow or another day I'll come back and record the rest of it. Okay, and we are back. It's been, I think, 24 hours. It's been a whole day since the first part of this video that I'll be making later on. And now we're back and we're going to give it another go to play Lies of P. I re-downloaded the game from the Mac App Store and I loaded it up earlier today and seemed to be working without issues, so we should be good to go. However, I have not tried opening it with the Performance HUD, so that is what we are going to try now. So let's get going. Okay. That's a good sign. So it looks like we have it in 1920 by 1080, and we can see our FPS up in the top right there. Now I do have my Xbox controller connected. Hopefully it's working, and it looks like it is. Oh, okay, well, it's because I was playing around. I think we're going to leave it in 1920 by 1080 for this session. I can try a different one at another time, but from what I've seen, 1920 by 1080 is probably as good as it's going to get from my M2 MacBook Air. Hopefully it can keep the FPS, you know, 50 or above. That's what I'm hoping. Okay, so let's get into it. I haven't played this game before. I don't really know much about it, aside from it being pretty popular right now, and it releasing on Mac essentially at the same time as everything else, so that's kind of unusual, pretty neat, to say the least. I also don't typically play, well, I've actually never played any of them, Souls-like titles. Typically they're not really my style of game, but I guess we're going to give one a go with this one. So here we go. I might have to adjust the audio and stuff too. I haven't... Oh. I can't tell if it's really low. Okay, no, there's definitely noise. Let's see here. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. I'm going to... Okay, I guess I'll find out later if the audio levels are good or not. Okay, let's hop into it.
There you are. I've been looking all over for you.
That's not very good. Normally I use my mouse to mute myself, but it won't let me control OBS on the other side of the screen.
Let's get you out of there. Find something that might help.
Okay. So big sword but slow, small sword but quick, and in between. I think I'm gonna go with the in between. What's that? Switch display. Oh. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with the balanced. Plus, I think the balanced sword looks the best. I haven't been actually watching the FPS, but looking at it now, we're 56. So I mean, again, all things considered, we're playing this on an M2 MacBook Air without a fan, so not too bad. Crap. Ah! How do I do? Okay. Okay. Ah! R to lock on. Switch weapon. Okay. Dodge, guard. Oh, okay. When I opened this up today, this was as far as I went, by the way, so from this point on, it's all going to be new. Okay, so will this keep the guard aimed at him? Okay, it looks like it will. Okay. The controller is working perfectly, by the way. No lag or anything, that's nice. Oh, well, that was cool. Okay, I want to try one of these perfect guards here. So he goes. I guess that wasn't one. Let's try that again. Oh. I can't really tell when the perfect time to guard is. The interesting thing about this game is that it's actually running quite well on these doors, ladders through the crowd. You can unlock them or go down the ladders to create shortcuts. It's actually running really well on the M chip. Clearly it's been, optimized well, but it doesn't even actually take advantage. Like, you don't have in the settings, there's no option to turn on Metal FX upscaling, which would probably make it run really well. So the fact that even without the upscaling, it's still running at as well as it is, it's quite impressive. Ow. Ow. Okay. Good to know. Oh my god. It's starting me all the way back here? Okay, well. Don't die because you get pushed back really far. Now we know. Wait a second, is this where, oh, okay. So maybe now because I have this door open, if I die, at least I can just come through here, is that, I'm assuming that's how that works. Okay. What's this over here? Can I go up? Oh, this is where I came from, okay. Let's see this guy over here. What's that thing on the ground there? Okay. We will check that out in a minute. Okay. So far, so good. Oh, spoke too soon. I disagree. Uh-oh. I'm starting to notice that dodging backwards probably isn't the best idea. Hold for a charge attack. While you are attacking, a white outline will appear. This happens, you can make the enemy stagger with a charge attack. Okay. Okay, well. I don't think that was what it told me to do, but that's okay. He is down. What's that thing? Oh, okay. You will die. Nope, don't want to do that. Oh, I just switched it. Okay. Well, it had, well, it jumped up into the 40s there. Oh, now it's back down to the 30s. There's a lot in this area, so I can kind of see why the frame rate is really low at the moment. Oh, there's a dog. What do you do? Okay, well, that wasn't too bad. Oh, there's another one. Well, I like that I can hit more than one enemy at a time. That's nice. Oh boy, that looks like a big guy. Some enemies become red and use a strong attack. You can dodge or guard. Oh, you can't dodge or guard, but you can counter with a perfect guard. Okay. You can't dodge or guard. Okay. I don't like the sound of that. Oh. They said I couldn't dodge, but he didn't actually hit me. Okay. 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 I still haven't really got the timing down yet. I have a feeling this guy's going to kick my ass. Okay. So the dodge doesn't interrupt my attack. I don't really like that. So if I'm in the middle of attacking, a dodge won't stop the attack. Oh, so you can dodge the attack. See, like that right there. I was pressing the dodge button the whole time, but because I was engaged in an attack, it wouldn't dodge. Oh, there we go. There's a perfect guard. What button do I press again? Okay. Repair. Okay. Oh, you will be revived at this point in case of death. Okay, I like that.
This is called a stargazer.
Puppet threshold exceeds danger estimates. Please reduce puppet numbers or reset danger.
As we are not strong enough to beat the puppets. Gather ergo, clever one. That the stargazer's strength doesn't last forever.
Okay, must be a big fight coming up. Oh. That was unexpected. The hell is on his head? A plunger? The Parade Master. Oh! Pfft. Okay, so he can run and then slam. Okay. Interesting. Oh God. Well, this isn't really going well, I will say that. Oh. Okay. Okay. I didn't think it was that wide. Well, how did I do there? Like a quarter of his health? Okay. We got to do better than that on the second try. All right, try number 2. What do you got, buddy? Oh, I keep forgetting that that goes wide. I don't know if I agree with that. Okay. I waited too long. So I really want to get behind him. I keep forgetting that one goes wide like that. Oh god. Oh god. Oh, that's new. Okay. Alright, well, we almost got him halfway. I mean, there is definitely an improvement. Oh. Oh crap, I pressed the wrong button. Gotta get these parries down. There we go. Okay. Oh, well, I'm screwed now. Jesus, like it doesn't, like you really can't dodge. Oh, great. Like what am I supposed to do there? His attack is so wide, I can't even get out of range. Okay. Oh. Well, I mean, I did better. Alright, I think that's where I'm going to call it for tonight. But the big takeaway for me is just how well this game actually runs on a small laptop. And we've been playing the game now for an hour, and the FPS is sitting at 40 at the moment. It does drop quite a bit though. Anyways, that is it for tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed, my terrible Souls-like gameplay. I probably won't be making any more videos of this particular game, but I do like to make videos of any games that do come out on Mac, just because I like to support games coming out on Mac. Personally, though, I find games, if you're someone who just wants to play games without, you know, having to troubleshoot or trying to get the best settings or whatever, it's probably better just to get a console. However, I do like that Apple is focusing more on gaming these days, and seeing games like this one coming out on Mac at release, at launch, is pretty neat. So when that happens, I usually purchase it, even if I don't need to, because I think this game is also on Game Pass. So I could have actually played it for free, sort of, with my Game Pass subscription, but I decided to buy it on the Mac App Store, knowing I wasn't even going to like the style of game, but whatever. I just wanted to support the developers and to support more games coming to Mac OS, which I think is kind of cool. And I think this one they did a really good job with, even without the Metal Performance upscaling. I don't know why they didn't add that as an option, but at least I haven't seen it as an option in the game. But if they had added that, that would have been really cool to get that upscaling, to get, you know, a really high resolution on the surface, but in the background maybe it's only playing at a lower resolution. Therefore, you can get a much higher frames per second, a much higher performance. That's what Resident Evil Village did when they ported the game to Mac, and it ran really, really well. So it would have been nice to see this one do something similar, but regardless, it actually does run pretty well, even without the upscaling. Anyways, that's it for me, and I will see you again next time. See you later.